Ed, hey man, good morning. How are you? It's always good to have you on. It's a hell of a story you've written, and it's going to give our friends out there on the highways and byways a bit of a chill. How are you doing, my friend?
Very good, Jimmy. How are you? It's a great day here in Detroit, and we're still in first place. We're not giving it up easy,
Well,
so
no, I
we're
mean,
great.
and like I said, I mean, in terms of, it was, one of the great things, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the 85 Tigers where you start off 35 and 5 and then it's like too bad, so sad, you got to catch up now. For those of you who don't
Yeah.
know, Ed's a Metro Detroit-based reporter. He covers autos, mobility. He's covered the stand-up strikes against the Big Three by the UAW, urban air mobility, and the rise of autonomous trucks. Did auto coverage at CNN as their bureau chief out of Detroit. Headed Fiat Chrysler's digital communications from 205 to 216. And basically, he hosts the Tales from the Beat podcast and looks at news. By the way, he is also a contributor over at Forbes, where we're talking about this story. Tariffs tech could contribute to record rise in Chicago thefts. Hey, man. So what's the word on all this stuff, man? Other than us kind of bemoaning the Tigers, who I do like, by the way, who are in my top 5 teams that I root for.
Yeah. Cargo theft, it's always been a problem, as you and your listeners know, but it seems to be on a sharp rise. I mean, the head of the National Insurance Crime Bureau, he testified before Congress. They're considering legislation to fight cargo theft. He reports that, I mean, the losses broke $1 billion for the first time in 2023, and they're going to increase another 22% by the end of this year, and it's only going to get worse. Cargo thieves have become much more sophisticated. They're using technology, AI, to track shipments, and they're also, because it's so lucrative, that they're traveling. They're actually traveling further to stalk loads until they can find the opportunity to steal from the trucks. Drivers go in, right, grab a meal, a shower, use the restroom. These people are very organized. They're working quickly, and they'll go to basically every extent possible to get the goods that they want to get because there's just so much money involved.
I'm wondering on a kind of really cynical level if, in fact, I mean, it's the only level to talk about this kind of stuff on, if, in fact, the rules of what they call the slammer spotter, the insurance scam where you have a spotter and a slammer and one tips
Yeah.
off the other. I'm wondering if part of this long haul sort of approach to it, you bring in an AI to basically track the shipment, you kind of figure out the predictability of it, and then you work with multiple people on the highway so that you basically say, look, they've left my zone, they're headed your way now. The best shot at getting this is probably at that upcoming truck stop down the way. I'm just wondering if the system of communication has gotten that sophisticated because of our ability to communicate in ways that we could never communicate before. Is that part of it?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely it. Is because of technology. It's just not. In the past it was mostly opportunistic, right? Oh, there's a load, and I'm out to make a hit, and it's there, and I'm going to take it. Now you're right, Jimmy. These people are so sophisticated. They're using every communications system possible. They're able to track loads that they're interested in. There are definitely certain categories of goods that the thieves are most interested in and that are the most lucrative, and they're tipping each other off, and they're not just working individually, but they're working in groups. It's very, very organized. A lot of the stuff is moved offshore or down to Mexico. And so, yes, it's not just, somebody robbing a truck. It's these are organized, very sophisticated groups with big bucks involved.
Okay, so yesterday, President Trump extended a tariff truce with China for another 90 days, stabilizing trade ties between the two world's largest economies, blah, blah, blah. Let's get to
Yeah,
tariffs, though. Is the fact that we know that, okay, this is the old joke people used to say, be careful about raising the price of cigarettes too high. You might actually
yeah,
put the mob back in business because,
yeah,
the idea that if you hijack a truckload full of cigarettes is pure profit, especially when people are paying $10 at the counter. This might be the actual version of this, where if price points rise to a certain level, you might see organized crime syndicates basically saying, "Hey, you want a PlayStation for $250, $300? Pure profit for us," as opposed to $600, $700. Is that what we're talking about?
To some extent, we in the story we quoted the director of intelligence and response at Overhaul, which is a cargo security company that I'm sure many of your listeners may be familiar with. His name is Danny Raymond, and he said that what's going to happen is, in some cases with the tariffs, it's going to drive shortages because some of these goods are just going to be too expensive to bring into the country. So what's there, and if they're in demand, there's going to be shortages, and that's going to drive the prices up. Now, both of those situations between the shortage and the price increases, that's going to increase demand, and that's going to increase the targeting of these particular goods, all as a result of the tariffs. And these cargo thieves are totally plugged in to market trends, and they are going to shift the target to whatever is going to be the most lucrative for them.
I'm laughing about this because I don't know if people know this, but the World War II Museum here in New Orleans started as the D-Day Museum, and the reason why it started as the D-Day Museum was because the boats that landed on the beach at Normandy, the landing craft, was actually made down here in New Orleans. It was made by Andrew Higgins. One of the great running jokes about him was he actually made one of the variations on the PT-109s, those boats. And what he would do is how he developed the boats, I kid you not, he would sell the Coast Guard boats to catch the bootleggers and then improve the quality of the boat and then sell that to the bootlegger. He did it 3 times over the course of that. And it really, I mean, there is something to be said about the fact that we are talking about accelerating technology here. And I'm wondering, just in your crystal ball, did it ever open up the possibility that along with the hijacking of cargo, selling it at lower price points, and also making sure that people got the goods that they needed, if in fact you think that there'll be an increase in smuggling as well?
You know what, it was hard for me to hear really the end of your question, but I guess the full thrust of this is that, and you go to the store,
right?
And I heard you talking about buying half a steak when you're out to eat, and this is situation. People are desperate. Stuff just costs too much money now, and they need to score these loads, and they sell it. They can sell it at whatever price they want. But people just need stuff at a price that they can afford, and they will find any way they can to get it because it's just too damn expensive now. I mean, I just can't believe when you go to the supermarket how much just a basket of groceries costs, how much it costs to feed your family. I mean, even apples. You see apples at $2-3 a pound for an apple. So this is what's happening. The country is becoming very desperate. If you're not independently wealthy or in a higher economic bracket, and you're just a working person trying to put two ends together to keep your family fed and housed and leading a decent life, this causes desperation. And not everyone, of course, will undertake criminal action to get what they need, but there's enough people out there that are doing that. And this is where we're at today. We're in a tough economic situation, and people are going to great extent to get what they want and what they need.
Let me ask you this question, by the way. Where are the hot spots? I mean, we got a lot of people who cover the entire country. Where should they be looking out for the most trouble as they make their way down the road?
Well, of course, the traditional spot is what they call the red zone, and that's the 200-mile radius around L.A. and Long Beach in Southern California, and that's where actually the lion's share of the heists are taking place. But a new report from this security company called GearTrack, and they work with Verisk and CargoNet, and they put out a new report that is showing, and this is new, that the triangle, the Dallas, Houston, San Antonio is a hot spot. That's gone up 35% in the last few months, but it's really zoomed around Indiana, a 75% increase of cargo thefts around Indiana because of increasing number of warehouse operations in Indianapolis and organized theft rings in that area. So that is a new trend. And Arizona has gone up 40% because thieves, get this, thieves used to, if you were in the red zone, that 200-mile radius, often thieves wouldn't bother to chase the load beyond that. But now we're learning that they'll actually camp out on the border between Arizona and California around Kingman, Arizona, and wait for the load to get out there or stalk it all the way out to there and then make their hit when perhaps the opportunity is a little easier.
Final question before we run out of time here with Ed Garsten. Can you kind of tell our listeners out there, our friends who are going to be much more vigilant knowing what's going on, can you kind of explain to them what steps are being taken to prevent this from happening now that we're aware of this rise?
Sure, absolutely. A couple of things. One, of course, the drivers and shippers are advised really to never leave their loads alone. Make sure that somebody watching them. That's on the most granular level, but also to continue to use technology, hire security firms that will actually place sensors and track the load the entire way from loading to offloading all the way through the trucking route. And if they see any anomalies, they're monitoring it the whole way. If they see any sort of anomalies where the stuff isn't where they think it's supposed to be or an unusual movement, they can put their security mechanisms into action. And then the last thing I'll tell you about is that there's legislation pending in both the House and the Senate to create task forces to especially through Homeland Security to get better policing out there and enforcement against cargo theft. So there's a lot going on, but the first line of defense, of course, is at the ground level of people handling the goods the most.
Ed Garsten, by the way, has a new article out. Tariffs Tech could contribute to record rise in cargo thefts. It is out now, by the way, guys. We're going to share that on our platforms. Ed, thank you so much for making time for us. He's a senior contributor at Forbes. Always good. Promise me you'll come back on a Friday so we can just talk baseball with Dan Ronan. Okay?
Love to. I know Dan well, so that would be great. I love to talk baseball.
Thank you, sir.
Always good to talk with you, Jimmy.
Thank you, my friend. Ed Garsten is a regular contributor here as well. It's becoming a nice little habit here. Hope you guys are enjoying yourself. Take a little ride down the road with us.